Compositions made of steel, glass and crystals with Ukrainian symbols, a unique production technology that is kept secret from outsiders. Financier by day, creator of amulets by night, UATV received an exclusive invitation to visit the master, who surprised fans of traditional national symbols in Ukraine and abroad. Archaeologists find these objects during excavations of any culture, made of wood, clay, metal, amulets or talismans accompanied people from the very dawn of civilization, and perhaps even earlier. They believed in their magical power to bring good luck and repel evil quite rationally. Just like people now believe in the ability of the navigator in the smartphone to show them the correct route on the map. The Danish 16th century astronomer Tycho Brahe was the first in Europe to systematically conduct high-precision observations, with the help of which Johann Kepler discovered the laws of planetary motion. Brahe did all of this in two specially built observatories at Uraniborg and Sterneborg, literally Uranus Castle and Star Castle. Now researchers believe that both scientific institutions were designed as huge astrological amulets so that scientists do not fall ill and work productively. Back then, it was believed that this profession entails melancholy under the influence of Saturn, which could be compensated by alchemical amulets, or, as in the case of Brahe, a special working environment. As a result, both observatories were destroyed under the new king, who did not like the huge spending from the treasury. Well, or Saturn still won. Now you can believe or disbelieve in talismans, but in fact they have become part of any national culture. In Ukraine they did not build castle amulets, but in each hut there were dozens of symbolic objects designed to improve the life of the family and protect it against adversity. These traditions are not just lost, they are acquiring in fact new forms in the 21st century. I make art objects from stainless steel, glass and by using crystals. First of all, these are amulets that carry the symbols of the Ukrainian people. Ruslan Halushko is a modern man living in the Ukrainian capital. He works in a large financial company. His workmates and subscribers in social networks are used to his successful marketing projects, but did not expect these unusual things would come out from under his hands. People began to come around in surprise, asking how, what, and maybe this is such a technology, or maybe this is it. Everyone said, wow, cool, this is unorthodox, this is unusual. How did you come to this? Next up, Ruslan's path from master of all trades to the creator of steel plates with charms. What kind of technology does he use for the thinnest thread on high-strength metal? Will the master reveal his secrets? And where in the world today can you find the work of Ruslan Halushko? Watch right now on UATV. Over the past 5 years, Ukrainian vyshyvankas, clothing with traditional designs, have become an international hit and entered the collections of many famous designers. This is exactly the case when a charm has acquired universal cultural value. Hundreds of years ago, an embroidered shirt was considered a symbol of generic memory. It was passed from generation to generation as a relic. Not a symbol in the complex pattern was accidental, some protected from danger, some from evil looks and so on. Embroidery in Ukraine was done with songs and special rituals. The most valuable is a wedding shirt. It protected the bride from the evil eye and was used only during the most important events for the family. And this is only one type of Ukrainian amulet. Even in his youth, Ruslan Halushko was fascinated by these traditions and studied lots of books. Ukrainian symbols have always interested me. I mean embroidery symbols, Cossack symbols, Christian symbols. I have always studied what they mean. It was always interesting. It's one thing to leaf through ethnographic research at your leisure, and quite another to create something yourself. In the 21st century, there are a lot of professions where the product is something intangible. It cannot be touched and turned into your hands. Ruslan is no ordinary financier. He occupies a management position and spends most of his time on the move rather than sitting at a computer. Financial work is numbers. These are other areas. These are very responsible projects. And what you do at home, you do first for all your family. For your daughter, for your spouse, for yourself. and you get pleasure from it, but different pleasure, a different format. At the end of 2016, Ruslan presented his work to subscribers on the social network for the first time. Before it, there were only family photos and announcement of financial achievements, and suddenly unusual charms of metal and glass. The master recalls that his workmates even refused to believe in his authorship. The first day when I came to work after this post, which I posted, everyone says, "Is it really you?" I say, "Yes, it's me." But there were people who did not believe in the end. When they saw the product in my hands with the logo Ruslan Halushko, they did not believe that Ruslan Halushko could do this. In fairness, it should be noted that Ruslan has a mysterious assistant, and he does not disclose their name. Maybe the master will still reveal. How do the two of them manage to process stainless steel so finely? We try to find out how it's done. At first, Ruslan talked in a streamlined way, that the metal master who helps him is just a friend. But in the end, he still made it importantly clear. It is one of my closest relatives. I did not know him very closely. He knows the technology. He has a special technology for metal processing. It worked like a treat. That is what I have in my head. It can be implemented. It can be interesting to combine. And so I began to study vector graphics very intensively. Ruslan has never shown much inclination towards drawing, and here is an entirely new discipline. Images in vector graphics are not built from pixels, but on the basis of mathematical formulas, which enable you to create very accurate and smooth images. Ruslan watched dozens of hours of training videos on the internet, and all this in rare 3 minutes. A couple of months was enough for him to put the first sketches into production. 2 years later, the financier became an experienced vector designer with a tendency for improvisation. There is only an image. There is no specific final picture. Only an image. After that, I sit down at the computer, begin to throw elements. This may be a square or a circle. I add elements, see how they will be combined, what they carry in themselves, what the overall plan will look like. A spike is a symbol of fertility and a complete harvest that does not need translation. Arrowwood berries in the Ukrainian tradition were woven into a wedding wreath. A bread loaf was decorated with them, and bunches were put on the table near the newlyweds, so that their love would be strong. Sunflower is a symbol of labor, wealth and well-being. Ruslan always uses stylized images, but at the same time tries to include all details in them. Nearby, words' wishes can be placed, associated with the characters or the full text of the prayer. No matter how beautiful it is in the computer, the sketch must be checked additionally. I may not notice some things when sketching. When you work with paper, maybe this is an old habit. When you've printed them out, when you've taken a pencil and checked millimeter by millimeter, you find some errors, some mistakes, and right there you correct them in computer graphics. It is very important to make all adjustments at this stage. It is extremely difficult to correct errors in the metal. Ruslan buys American surgical steel, sheets with a thickness of just 0.6 of a millimeter. This material is used in implants due to the increased resistance to corrosion. The further sequence of actions seems quite understandable. A digital sketch is loaded into the machine in the workshop, and the laser cuts out the necessary details. Ruslan claims that everything happens in quite a different way. Laser cutting will not give such an effect as that which is reached by our technology, namely half processing of metal. I use 0.6 millimeter steel, and the overall picture is achieved through a combination of two types of metal processing, through processing and half-through processing. Moreover, Ruslan insists that he uses vector graphics only for the sake of convenience. That is, the masters do not load the file into the machine. In fact, this is not computer processing. The technology itself is a very laborious process. It takes about a month. This is sketch processing in a very large number of stages. The process itself involves processing in approximately 5 to 6 steps. Ruslan takes the next batch of sketches for manufacturing, but does not let the camera go beyond this door. We could not see what happens behind it, but there are only a few ways to handle durable materials, like stainless steel. Steel clichés have been used to print banknotes. Using special machines, the thinnest lines could be carved on them. Now there are also heavy-duty carbide bands that allow experienced craftsmen to create complex patterns by hand. The easiest way to paint an artistic engraving on steel is to apply it with acid, with a proper concentration, a caustic composition, that even etch a layer of stainless steel in predetermined places. However, in this way, it is certainly not possible to cut steel sheets, as in the grooves in Ruslan's works, there is always a matte finish, which is characteristic of machining. So what is this technology? I do not think that I'm doing jewelry work, although we received a lot of feedback when people come and say, "So this is jewelry work." No, we are not jewelers. The technology itself does not have any commercial nature for us. It started as a hobby and continues as a hobby first and foremost. If the technology has no commercial application, it means that it is very complex and practically unplayable outside a specific workshop. Perhaps this is a combination of a manual machine with high-strength tools and special chemical processing of steel. But we can only guess about the role and ratio of each aspect. One way or another, Ruslan comes home with ready-made plates. Late evening and the family goes to bed, while Dad, financier, starts to glue the metal on the glass. Super transparent, made to order. This glass is white, blue, and has a different shade than ordinary glass. Finding the right solution, how to really glue the metal to the glass, took quite a lot of time, because I never did it. I did not know. Ruslan did not want the glue to be seen at the edges of the steel plate and through the glass. As a result, he found a special composition, which is used in industry for the manufacture of modern furniture. It can be applied either to glass or to metal, as long as it has a strong grip. After that, there is fixation, and the surface must be irradiated with ultraviolet light. Otherwise, the glue will simply not harden. Ultraviolet should get on the glue through the glass. Ruslan has the right to make a mistake, only before irradiation, as then the glass and steel will be impossible to tear away, and this is despite the fact that the glue is transparent and unseen. Now the last thing to do is to attach the checkmate crystal. We take the stones, apply, see how they will look, how they should be located. In a circle, in the center, the stone has a flat base, and the sheet metal allows the stone to be placed almost anywhere on the product. The hollows for crystals can be provided in the sketch and carved in the metal, if Ruslan is sure that it will definitely be appropriate here. For some products, steel must also be bent. For example, if it is a stand for a photo, a candlestick, or a cup for drinking jam. Even these items have Ukrainian symbols. Ruslan says that it takes 1 to 3 months to go from the idea to implementation. The very process that the master forbids to shoot takes most of the time and effort. Perhaps he will still make an exception for us and share his discovery with the world. Or are the shop's secrets sacred? We pose the main question for the last time. No, we are not ready to disclose this technology. Well, the master has his own rights, and there must be something mystical in the talismans. In the space of 2 years, the works of Ruslan Halushko have passed the 100 mark. Amulets and other accessories of the Ukrainian master can be found both in Europe and in Asia. I know for sure that my works were presented to people in Austria, Germany, Poland, in Holland and in Israel. There was even a case when our work flew to Hong Kong. 2 are Ukrainians who run a restaurant business, who have a restaurant in Hong Kong. Indeed, the people who flew to them did not know what to give. When they saw the work, they immediately realized that this was it. Ruslan does not consider his works to be souvenirs. He still believes in the power of amulets and in what he invests in every piece of his impressive creative energy. Today, the master is developing new items in the author's method. There are a lot of ideas, starting from the expansion of the line of charms, and indeed there are very interesting concepts, how this can be used in table settings for decorative festive tables. Whatever happens in the future, I'm sure that I will use Ukrainian themes and Ukrainian symbols. Taking into attention the durability of materials, Ruslan's works can last for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and become valuable artifacts of the Ukrainian culture, of our century and for the distant future.